Hello everyone, welcome back! I'm Gaming Quitte, the most delicious Quitte of them all, and today we will take a look at units that have been released since my child above video, because what I say there still applies to most units. This is more like a little update video rather than going over every unit again, and I'm sorry it's a bit late, my schedule has just been really busy. We will take a look at new units from the wind and light element, as well as recent mana spirals and how viable they all are in the Iblis fight or in Curse of Nihility content in general. In the Iblis master fight, afflictions are basically mandatory, so units that inflict poison and stormlash as well as flashburn and paralyzes are extremely helpful there. If you have formerly Joachim for example, his shared skill is really helpful, or just slap him on your team and use the shared skill. Let's take a look at wind units first. Nino was released a little while back and she's a pretty strong unit. Her Dragon Drive mechanic is super fun to play, and she does have one problem in the master version of Iblis though. She has no afflictions that she can put on the enemy. So I think in master she might not be the best pick or even not be that viable at all, but in expert she should be totally fine. I think I will bring her to the expert fight and probably use her in the master too just to try her out, but in the end for farming expert is more than enough. In the last month on the Yukata banner, we got Yukata Lafna, and boy oh boy, she's pretty strong. She hits like a truck, she grants defense amps and dispels. And all of that with her first skill. The second skill lowers sprint resistance, which is really helpful in dealing more damage, but she does not inflict any afflictions herself. But like I said with former Joachim's skill share, you could try and use that to negate that downside. It's basically the same with Nino too, but if that's enough I can't quite say yet, to be honest. In co-op it's probably enough, but in solo you might want to make sure all of your units can inflict things. Anyway, Lafna is definitely still a good pick in expert, master probably might be a bit tough without any afflictions. I briefly talked about our boy Krimnir in the Jaldabath video, but now we know more about himself and his kit. Since he can inflict Stormlash by himself, he already has scored a place in the Iblis fight. He's also pretty strong in general, and his unique attack animations are fun to play around. Iblis does teleport around quite a bit though, which sometimes might make it difficult to keep up the combo count, but thanks to Krimnir's built-in combo time duration increase, this shouldn't be too much of a problem in the end. So Cyga was released in May, and it kinda feels like he has already been a bit power crept by Cecile, the new mana caster. Cyga himself is fine, he inflicts Stormlash and dispels while also being able to deal some decent damage. He has also a power up Force Strike, which is always nice to help reduce the overdrive bar with. But the problem is, Cecile is a rapid fire mana caster, whose entire job it is to destroy an overdrive bar. She also has two damage dealing skills, and both inflict either Stormlash or poison. Her dodge mechanic makes her easier to play, and if you slap walk on her, she can just continuously poison and Stormlash Iblis. Cecile is probably one of the, if not the best unit so far for this fight. This continues the trend of rapid fire mana casters being extremely good in the Sinister Dominion series. Since my Jaldabath video, two wind units got their mana spiral, Gala Renzel and Akasha. While Gala Renzel still doesn't inflict any afflictions, he did get way stronger and his 4 strike damage is pretty potent. He also can help to bring strength amps to the rest of the team. I think I have seen people use him on master, so I do think he's absolutely viable there, but probably only if the rest of the team can inflict enough poison and stormlash. Akasha got a pretty good mana spiral, which not only grants overdamage and strength amps, but her vital gate skill can inflict stormlash. While the skill charging effect of the buff field doesn't work with Curse of Nihility, the Stormlash and Overdamage are extremely helpful in the Iblis fight. Overall, some units from the Wind roster have seen some surprising use. Eleonora is an extremely good poison inflictor, and she's been on a few teams that cleared from what I have seen. Louise is also coming back a bit, because she can inflict poison quite well. Nod, of course, is still an extremely strong unit, because she can dispel, inflict Stormlash and deal some massive damage. While Akasha is a pretty dang good healer, and of course Lowen is also really good, it seems like a lot of people decided to use Formal Noelle because of the poison resistance reduction she brings with her second skill. In the end though, let's be real here, Valentine's Chelsea is obviously the best unit in the game in my opinion, so obviously she's totally OP in this fight, making it the cakewalk and an automatic win for you just by placing her on the team. Okay, that might not really be the case, and I might be a bit biased there. I almost forgot to take a look at new dragons, or rather the only dragon besides Rose Queen that has been added to the Wind roster, which is Gala Beast Volk. He's a dangerous fella, giving you poison when you enter shapeshift and making it so that you can be inflicted with every element in the book, but his dragon form is pretty strong and he helps inflict poison in Stormlash. If used correctly, he is really good. Mona, for example, even without Volk's dragon form, for some reason gets way stronger with him. I use Volk and once almost took half of Iblis' HP from his first phase with Volk's dragon skill. That was pretty cool. Rose Queen, well, she sadly never was that great, although her roses can help with healing a little bit. Overall, there are better options than her, even if it's sad because man, she's hot. A dragon which is still really good is obviously Mid-Zero because his dragon skill can help deal with the bad mechanic in the Iblis fight, and lowering the wind resistance is always an extremely helpful debuff. Now let's take a look at the light units which have been released recently. Since you only need them in the master fight, bringing Paralyzes and Flashburn is pretty important. You also should bring units that can dispel because, well, as usually you will need it. I've recently talked about Civilian Leaf in my analysis video and a lot of us wondered why he would inflict Paralyzes instead of Flashburn. Well, now we know, because we need it. Since Leaf can help in that department while reducing damage dealt by Iblis, lowering light resistant and Krant's strength amps, he seems like a really good unit for the fight. If not maybe for immense damage himself, but rather to support the entire team and help to get a safe clear. A unit which you do not want on AI is Gala Audric, because the AI doesn't really play him well, but if you control him yourself, he's pretty good in his fight. He can dispel and inflict Flashburn depending on how well you play him. He also helps by granting the team defense amps, which is pretty helpful to ensure survival. With Isaac, you can have an extremely good buffer on your team, but since he doesn't inflict Flashburn or Paralyzes, he might fall flat a little bit. He does help with team amps though, and if played correctly, he can deal some nice damage. So if you bring affliction skills on him, he becomes way more potent in the Iblis fight. Summer Shell is probably one of the best options for inflicting Flashburn, because she not only does that herself, but she also lowers the resistance for Flashburn. If you have her on a team, it really shouldn't ever be a problem to have Flashburn on Iblis. I just realized that we haven't really gotten new units in the light element recently. We did get 3 mana spirals though for Gala Yuden, Gala Luca and Vixel. Vixel's spiral helps giving him more healing and helps providing strength amps. Gala Yuden himself still helps with buffing the entire team, even though his buff field is negated, but he can now help with strength amps. But if Yuden is viable in the master fight, I personally think there are better options, but I honestly very rarely use him, so I can't really say for sure. Regarding Gala Luca's mana spiral, I realized I never made a video on him because way back when it was released I was super sick, so I couldn't do it. But anyway, with his spiral he grants strength amps and does get a little bit better. He suffers still from losing out on buff bonuses, but overall he should be fine in theory. He doesn't have afflictions in his kit either, so that makes him a bit rough to use. New dragons that have joined the light roster recently are Raphael and Summercat Sith. Raphael is a nice option, but Gala Reborn Jun still reigns supreme. You get more survivability with Raphael though, and getting a second skill filled by using her dragon skill can have some nice uses for some light units. Summercat Thief, as of right now, still seems a bit too gimmicky, but she can inflict Flashburn with the dragon skill at least. If you use a unit that grants defense amps, Cat Sith gets way better thanks to the increased damage to Flashburned enemies. While writing this script, I also realized I never really made a video like this for Lilith, so let's just run through some units that are pretty good in Curse of Nihility content, and especially in the Iblis fight. One of the best units is Rizarda, even more so in the Iblis fight, because when the shift comes around in Master, she already has her Zitch removed and can instantly use her powered up attacks, which dispels buffs, and she is an also good Flashburn enabler. Irene also is really good at enabling Flashburn, and she's easy to manage thanks to her automatic skill charging. Units like Mitsuhide, Fleur, or Peony can help keeping up Paralyzes, and even a Spiraled Luca is a good Paralyzes enabler. While Julieta, for example, doesn't have afflictions in her kit, she is still extremely strong, and I love to use her in the Lilith fight. In the Iblis battle, she probably, as I already mentioned quite a few times, falls a bit flat without afflictions, but is still a strong contester as a reliable damage dealer. A unit that isn't really good in Curse of Nihility, sadly, is Gala Xena, because as a healer, she sadly doesn't heal enough to keep up with Corrosion. I feel like she's one of the Gala units that need to spiral the most, simply because other healers are straight up better than her. Another unit that suffers a bit by Nihility is Ilya, but she can still function as a Flashburn enabler. And honestly, I could go on and on about other units, but this video is already way too long and most people probably don't even touch Master. So anyway, I hope this video helped you a little bit with seeing through the tons of options we have in the Iblis fight and just checking up on the recent additions to the roster. I did think about going even more in depth with some units and giving more examples, but then this video would be way longer, and sadly, I don't have the time for that, and you probably wouldn't want to sit through that either. If you need help with the fight though, or you are looking for recommendations on how to build your team, you can join our Discord. The link is in the description below. Tell me in the comments below if you have already cleared the Iblis fight and who you used for it. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content from yours truly, and to please feed the algorithm. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!